The Interior Department has primary federal responsibility over Guam and the other insular areas. That's why the trip here by Interior Secretary Sally Jewell, no matter how brief, was vitally important to local officials. There is no substitute for seeing and hearing about situations firsthand. Governor Eddie Calvo says, for one, it was refreshing to hear a cabinet-level official concur with Guam's position on compact impact reimbursement.
Now we have a Secretary of Interior that has acknowledged that what Guam as a community is putting out in terms of the cost of this in-migration as a result of the compact treaties, that it is vastly greater than the compensation that we are getting through the current compact funding.
Compact impact funding is capped by law at $30 million per year to be shared by all insular areas, and officials concede that getting any more money out of Congress is not likely to happen.
So we're going to be working to see if we can address that as opposed to just pushing for additional federal money, which is very difficult to come by right now for any programs in this current Congress. So we're going to get as creative as we can be, recognizing that this is a very significant problem that's not going to get better over time, most likely.
One of those creative solutions announced by Jewell during her trip here is the opening of a one-stop center to provide migrants access to job training and education. The goal is to help them become more self-sufficient, less reliant on local resources, the saving of Guam money.
It would be an area where we have immigrants coming into this island, having them the ability to sit down and talk with folks that have knowledge on different governmental agencies and federal programs that can assist them in a smooth transition into this Guam community. So I think that's a big plus.
Calvo says the meetings also help raise understanding of problems such as the exclusion of FSM citizens from FEMA assistance, which Jewell herself described as an unintended consequence of federal reform.
She was clearly shocked, and she believes that this is contrary to what the treaty was all about. She also believes that some of these provisions that occurred as a result of the welfare reform, that was not the intent.
With little expectation of new congressional funding, Interior is looking to identify as much existing federal assistance as it can. Assistant Secretary for Insular Affairs Esther Kiaina heads an interagency task force formed just for that purpose.
There are efforts underway, again, to work with other agencies on a collaborative effort to identify both short-term and long-term strategies, both funding and statutory changes.
It is this interagency task force that officials are counting on to become the squeaky wheel that will help to ensure Guam's issues get heard.
The problem now with all these agencies is they have so many other areas that they have to look into. When you talk about Health and Human Services, when you talk about Department of Labor, there are so many other areas that are in their agenda when it comes to the 50 states and also the different territories. So to have this interagency task force put together, it can focus these issues and these particular agencies into what are Guam issues. So we feel this is very important.
And the governor says the alternative funding sources that they will explore can still yield big results. He cites ongoing efforts to increase federal repayments to the Guam Memorial Hospital as a good example.
We do believe that with certain adjustments being made, which I think there's been a lot of progress, the difference is, with the current reimbursements to the hospital, anywhere from $1 to $3 million, well, that can change to $16 to $18 million annually by a signature. And it's just a matter of administrative changes and adjustments that need to be made. And I think this is where I do believe that this interagency task force will be a tremendous asset to Guam.
Overall, Calvo says he is encouraged by Jewell's visit and by the new reimbursement strategies that the tight federal budget is forcing them to come up with.
And that was critical by Secretary Jewell. Give me the numbers, give me the facts, so that we could look towards resolving it. So whether it's on TEFRA rebasing at the hospital, whether it's repatriation of the millions of dollars that health insurance companies in Guam pay the federal government for an exchange that we're not participating in, well, getting that money back, and whether you get that money back to our hospital or to our public health agencies. These are the areas that we can work on with the Department of Interior and with the Interagency Task Force.
For KOM's Business Matters, I'm Nestor Lecanto.